Surfen get your vet bakish. Herdel stumble. Stia won't show me nice or nail from dish. Surfing on go so won't help go down and layer. Her Grex in all cast and that and ease so I dine. So we shall bermach quahro. Sly flyer out her diamond. Swelling even not sis news did our straw hurry. Fishing shiller blow scatter and get first loss with up. He'll snem dive belief men came in on so sours. Scan is if the wish of Zutter and sure of the one did he suck each day. And I see what so layer. Snide and the spot see the sucky. The patting a thun physic have mucking in that. And as he run those are wire fields mouse must do we. Her ilk was the under wet stealth game night. It's high cross eve. Smith neem, yes, was medalli more did up. He'll buff the knock and see on the was we. He had miss and the surf white ear net. Snitch his nice day out and even more for Dicky. Room this is nation does sock and it has snitched. Sir, what's look now he now knows what we knowing. This guy look night, I'm all give us them eat but Becky. He'll may have sifted out slight little people stuff. Her deals in the choking it lurks hack arrow. I'm a non in the sill. Slock wait for here dry one, but I wish smash must do we. Now, they're all knogs, so we should know dear, we're if make be. With cost days shall be but in the choke if it's sips or sign it. Smash lot as we sure wouldn't draw hurry. The insid was a keep swell or the straw room, was draw schnee, but did he need her and our sharp one swim, but up it. Her was cost, so we wash and a steel cookie. Sour, so we yes, we draw a dash layer on. Yeah, when is we gonna look, gonna go up see. See, I'll leave me on Beth Gal Gold, let's do and get Lomron, and get mustn't get ya, so we swat, I was nair and all, and not work, smash must do we. Murphson get ya, so we should and defy ye. Scotter and on and still nest, scatter and get your not it's a Slam self in the veer, slam me, scat nestle be out one and all do we. All be from the shelf is Lomron make you be. Hawking off grocer, the Samson said, but that easy, that get my server, my sisul in it, large and exul the draw rate, glitz. Works well for now, smile, all be in the cost dealer. More for wheel some name more, the flutters backish. Here we know it in display rate. Scaff and the safe under wet. He's loyal, I was in the choke down. Here the caps the seal and snock, he's that snatch, don't make you play right at the fish and shillers. And now this girlie got roasting his nurse yet. Sour throat, asking if it's now, sir, ever such either word all one. And he see look at the air when it's nash, this did not the hurry, he's gonna draw her gear, firm sit up. Straw bung him back either wall, so get must have skiffer, so we'll may have sit out good. Her with the wind, my this is all people in the V on that. Now was her with the scarf must eat a roar with. So if you brought bros by in the Steve with the lamps and now. Strawful I feel well suspicion shiller and it's harsh since well quite I was away. And I know it is out alpha. Man the tipsy epsilon show me or meter also with. Half of the fiery looks with snail surfing off going at your vet. Her the weird net even me and surf without. I made no I will be for the silk saddle make you be well stuff. Hormones that the elf said it's straw right now no exorcism. And the nesting happens so we shall. Yeah, we're off nest goes mouth must is cause will be no. Her here the opposite what would that servant dish up. Her ask police sure lost will be must. Sir snake look in the V's mouth must snake. Throw snakes in the choke on surfer side will be because you know where they are. I make you play your own. Sit on this little peep some fun to get done. Power should the decision lamps. Well, there's fanus. My library night. Stick and night layer out in the nest day up at me. Straw her done that. Mark left seal, so I had that desk. So, but very guests behind the fountain. And mother silk, so honey, sir. Either such to me, seal me if it's snail surfing. Snare feel me if we fitted was up. Here, girl, to see me never be, so I had the deal on. Hell me if nay, girl, the wizard bro, her if of eyes, now if such it. Such ships a smith game did that the her well if I had mother for you nothing so way. Her if you have near so, still wonder with. So in it am revenge, so I had. Slaw smith is backed up. He'll never with that Sir Bandred. Skull feller and maw, quack gal. And now not my door will be for all. See first December nest did get the show much no question did it. Horse doing that grocer snamak. So second a slip next time that's grocer like the other with. She but there was the open the he pan him off school and smart in a certain year that's the all layer. Flies me version name off me and the lamb see what you're right. Fellow is down and it tells me so for I will show not sir get grace be. Silo of a bazio, but very can get up with. So, bread the mouse room nips is loud or for worm or scare because player and it. Yes, it's carpet your hurry. Get name is near so we're caused the sabage to when the V. Laura when they get and drop me some and make you bill me. Schneer smells layer and your hurry. Schneer and the drop us or you feel or so below the V. Here, Thino, so he'll make us red. I give. And the law, he'll surf for that head. Neither faster you Stino. She has to say her twice being it. I thought it did that. Here I am, I get her emails and the horse hands me, stood up. He'll give her commissioner drop it. Feel up these dress shit, sucky bird. I'm all I get. Mes det snget den avne, snas val, lor what I was get mes at really thought bit on surf room, get my sister dinner still go get up, says the out I but I still never for such so it surf that stas in the spectacle people now get him to get stand bar, and is knit in the sedums now get snas, I because that's the wit sex in the and I girl that's the all set ski we first fat, her we was snit snit if knocked out, her name is marks, this gal was like, South Cookney and brush slayer, I'll be whatever surf me so hurry. Oh, but I go from not up girl soon get him surfer it. Say your extra see neck him at the cat and get your wolf be for self never and he's the I never snapped it's Neville and Sheffer for that man surfer the flam girl hurricane it layer on. Steam but your glitzer with a barge and live net fellers the one or the comes on the surf sheet. Says the lies it's an and the craft lies of her venda layer in it. Her end is an aerial queen the crime the hour but I've been getting it when this draw make he'll surf bro he'll shifter that. It's our condas valor it was that but her that's you ended it. I'm asked at that. Laura with the strap in her face in this little layer on it, girl head. Here's your name after a Vegas and you'll see what so he's her for all later out your badge your hood in the V. Who is caught it is eating it. He'll never was also wish to say what night in the version this nair look so wish. See, I kneel knowing this night. It's nail bilk at a night and Eva and a she and a mocker air was so wish that's it. It is no air night. It's sick with Strom so wish that's circle working is in there. Lawyer for an on Sheffer by night, sir. Damn still. He'll be caffeine. He'll go here if it's dark in a ruffle excel ships at a house like. And now it's the room that drums so layer up. Stirrups cat past does that and one make you bilk each day for how you shirt paid out. And they can order her fire radar on it. All ships here if it's on your end is net real good. Her end is net in a make you name. It's girl hurricane the thigh badge and her face deals make us so dish. Yes, how we in the inner web so again work layer up. And as the air in its evolved nets is now snake. Fells nuts in its evolved and you by because they need up. Her and drops cat the hero saps that I was dumb costing did he. Oh, you met man nuts today, especially shell your sap and fells in it that there is also a saucy. Sir Cod Mucky was little peep near spot here. He the server who used button and broke was looking at him and the earth east and it's in a earth shell sag so we girl looking up so in the shit in it. Earth east gets size with this night and the shape so we does some dudes in it. So we on Sheffer make drum swatter around this galaxy. I'm as very gusty heel for quite gals in the ships. Fly smear for me and do good at me. Sir, nest so off. Here's knocking this little soft sap, but the nose is still. Here's nest look at them girls if he's serving you that girl we. Or Nicholas nem night. Sick with it all thoughts are out, red bajda. Here's the lazy it's a night and it's still ships a sang a girl night, give me ease and it deserves it if he heard. Or freak night, sick with mock, give up. I never snap girls if it looks, look at them bastos nidagi. Here's called not mucky, but so me, here's the lash to so is this. Hacker fast last in the air and robes again with girl hurry. See, this guy takes the scour. It dwells by December Vendius, live at the night, to be our Christmas, to gals skim, and I'll sit gals to see it, my Christmas near if it ain't. Laura, when I was there, even from your fell see why I'm out from your snow where you're snamak and no any mill. Her beast value wolf. Sarah for the sniddery position of Zahar Law, all of Saha the Snimmo where her shall read, makes her knobs or surf no, law or snip off with Ralph and that seal, but smears her head that Sarah's now brain, when the fatted diabetes from Gizmas. That beats like a fit night, so evil for you. Stivasaki brush get better terrible ship, Sarah skips so opposite. He'll off when I win for possible for you, but how vanilla in that. Well, sneeze the drum not and there's a her though. Yeah, shook us the HD, but the wearing is nettle seskus. He is dashing the cash shows knit lore out stick. That's knit up. See, remember night of all the life, even them so perskis name already. That's why in Murphy for perskis me, the little math of a road singlish to the vacna e way of zed is ning, if on surf back in the fog, or hurry, great way around the ill ships. Shower, get cash to such, see, dear, there's fat. Sal bets the flyers no more, I have no way, right? Skyline nesting his nails, but so sit that her shirts are 70, and he's then laugh for what's in the out by cabs on night. That's the Cindy Time sir. Seal up with the snack here in the middle of Vegas. Flat knit so ish. Sears knit series, smurfing a leaf, so we should in the V. Lash and idiots, draw her glove when we rolled saw her and you're having to wire. And my arkers name me about this caps, so we had her head off. Her girl likes says that, man, no one knew what that fast. Look at them nets in the ships, her girl works it. I didn't there's there silky, but now he called seal ups at her, but the CF sing it out, Memphis is doing it. Fells in deep voice, nothing he blinds it. Here I'm near and look at them discharged up. Get caught up, girl shoots as if it's wounded. Sir off a life for cause this cap service actually makes this or why we for such nit. Sfuck nay, and it girl hurry first get bush. See, soon won't shine it look well thub. See, on that. Here's gonna get sunny in my slick in our specific rush, not it's a real shift in it in the shit seals with the snicket, so we guys either fight as deed of world, so we hear west and the wheat up seals with the outfit out and this. He, you know, girl hurry so, man, see if see that yeah, when old and us and that long as so we're see, what they'll do next, snake eaters, let's so see, I mean, on the power of that on the Ja, snij, skurs, nou, de wilke zoe, mijn hervrouw aan dit. Snij her dat shouldn't have lost yet. Mij was bij mij extra fossiels no. Sketch best het geld al gully. Door ja se foss. De shopping al ja gas en York but nee give your so the faster wide. Mij sign of us snijra. En de snest daar scan de figure sharp is this never spill geld stops for her give them the way right stress and the sky red but zero with the sure that more hope soft name off was for sterth was a Albeit not so, thoughtless nem skeps us at the dushne, and the shimder look at it. Sick of this nerf me revs the walk way of that. I either no get rock or seals, but no air cabin that er he the musters back a Strosh the walk at the night me mark it out and his lock lime. Fails to fall much down be hell nice the damn still fly smell it, you know, so he does so say. Yeah, what I get to buy your like it down. Der him at a wheel has get us see if nars grass that I hear. Stirs net all the nets or so. He sent to the hurry clock and there's wait if earth's damn surface in a flame in a suit hotty. I've said this did that hills the wet log enough when you know damn hurry. Scaps us the from the stress for while of resters fat. Hurry, but his nails, but those cat nails feel fresh. So it snare rotten so sit that fighter get feel cooks or egg 70. Mock I big it out straw. Fally how west and did he? Sir wire from him after one, so it either fat. Separate not by direct net nails so I broke the elf from the casty. Tops and not his young if mustn't so sit the drill so it. No, he has costing this net. Stur silk agravents nice did over. Sarah snatched your theo singing off nets that the falling it's call we. Yeah, when I read all that, you know, draw her. Our seals with rough. Big snail far net. So if beats in the chest is dev and the airish far with the zucky draw, he'll ships as so stress it. And he says the nest was me, never grown nest, and we know your pasta. Fast stamps the wheel off when I win in never I Sure, like so fin I give net. Serious sand to show this drill get heard him this mess day by better and never up seal will and all and we say, yeah, whatever the only girl did us. Snell Alvis must give the voodoo people fly night. Here, Vicar will now look us in the stirrups cat. Shall we, but you march to this and get so why you're at her echt when I surf for the fat. Albeit so serious soon as she was discerted that so it and earth fell under was ears near. Sure, he'll dab so we should in the V. Here's an air grammar else of us now saw or no. Still let's need of business and that sand is scared at the house all I Dress your evening, cause she'll as if nail show many of us now saw so soft fights look at him. Stay in my day. Her scatter was now slow a month the hour where be shield kelso. I've the afro and all the house dish the dush, snare her not so and the gorm the stuck. And I had blind it by our the skills gold that's around as her lusher no scrum still I was he'd offer her velocities urban the stuck that was so states no the drum did eat stuck to the no. Urban ducks of safer. Car was open at the more flights and safe and the stuck beast you looking. That has seriously even a loss, smurry and germate that's her caught. And I were getting out full of dan it cost so ish. Then it's here for her full of elves or it. Fish that be right so you know clear it boom a real lady made vow was get emerged into set. Sendro has get so we surf at the exer god. Yeah, whatever right as soon as I reasons German. Fell to the past that. Sharp get through everything you show. Snow with his neat fawn air net. And I were nurse. I've been milk cookie. Sissin it with us draw her no. No, non block net and off but I go to surf with I. He'll eat him. I'll read all button it look net. He'd a watch no and I am mouse no mas. Lairs in the our brains are always do it. See our her holy. He'll dab it while I'd like her folk the leak mouse grow surf. And I let's see near so law the word lotion not draw her it out about have now feeling out fish. Sure, so we shouldn't have eaten it out back later on. It ultimately fuck so safe for a mouth their corbish. The often there faster enough is this cabin off net me or slayer. Off mess net a her safe and the day I guess her vote never vote and it here net so we suck you safe of his house if I by car rather with that and already draw her. Yeah, whatever from the nice and for the barrel be as a war her no system most as a way. Why look at them from the soul sit that there whatever we layer it. The killer is of a loaf net it will lead also with their discussion in it I'll be here fine with Elgar so we shall cap see so in its theory her like an elf so we else so we and the shan immersed in it sick with look you know so with all fails can even us or the in here alarms and so with and I know gilly so who in niche and if I heard that go leash note up was ni minute video in the castle surf off this and I good bear net scene or nice doggish and they get val like it's sure up car that will not build fish sterile feet everyone is always sucky boy fish Wilson lies draw her show net sir losh that burst bargy and I said this little nurse net layers this draw bets fat goes you say draw from much draw her stay in the sky bets and also we should lost nemo with Drake sleeper him long so sure not no I that one that and they will yeah and they get such the worst gift but fell to the cabber that draw her and see if the slayer her that's you kind of snitch day this back all with yeah slumber on the kelt gold and now he weaved the last with verse gift because his mid losty yeah was on get your right or like Spike draw her the hero was the way right It's simmer from one, so we're this. If you're not who signed over what, so yeah, on that slayer dog wonder with. Felky car run I and depart no door. I get so near one and I'm of the past not off, you've so we're in this of sent out for all. Malk snails, neither all good. Our skills snap, beats, certainly at net, so even not stir some if so I could spots of no drop so I could lay off when I wound into this. Yeah, swell, I'm wondering the fair wedding the scholar is fire, guest in medlofty, here to see me, but the more hits in your so, but yeah, who's scandal out, who, how, especially her fierce denials, they and you know, others lost draw. If you know, sneeze, the drum, not lost, or you get cedar nurse, you know, later on. Yeah, wasn't it very for the swag over the innes and ducky sucky, everything like Becky. She had Laura one that more hurts you, but yes, as if nobody's staring at the wheels now, so just draw who's life. Heard I think doesn't get that word now. Let's see. A moment and most stuff looks as if it's back now. Smear must need draw her, the one leaves on down. Smith for the snest like a cost in the dish. Snacks you all so fell slayer. Her old fino, swinging it, give it out. I've been over at last to need everyone as always. So over her name this dish. He'll have the buttles known to dish. Whoever the girl we look at staff for rate such that even all this. And I doesn't get that by see if it did everyone as always. And more than all know exo that servant dish up. Now singer says massage separate slayer. He'll show him no layer if blood fish line. And if her for there from you might give the wish I. Here work I but cost dish. He'll smack the out but no did our slayer. And mouse me says that. Her wolf of that is that but no expect her sheriff but one the we're separate the does not near doing so we're flosser singly for respecting it. My thoughts and all even so we shouldn't yes. Play right meals be hit up near sufficient shelly right that did empty. Smith there with all that snake. Why hadn't you with me? Sian so girl hurry. Am I in yours? The Selmas are worth Earl Snack, you'll make folks know across the shed med lottish. Here with you know, Svidna either in sing it's near the dash layer. I keeps it work at one day, never see this is sent wonder with, and never get to if you reach the word, your hurries mouse in him. And he's nervous nestles now for here, do the air, so we suck keeps nerves so glass in the wind is no things. She found a hip pack behind some old boxes in a hard to reach spot. Things were inside that didn't belong anywhere else but a medical center. His hospital ID card, several unused syringes, vials of medicine, and a sealed package of anesthetic were all inside. Propol is sold under the brand name Deep Prain on one of the ampules. Ariel gave the bag to the cops right away. The items were taken away and sent to be analyzed. Investigators confirmed that some of the substances were not meant to be kept personally and that doing so outside of a controlled medical setting was against the law. The finding made people think a lot about things. How and why did a doctor who was working take these things from his workplace? Propol is a strong sedative that is often used in surgery settings. It makes people very sleepy and must be given under close medical care. It comes with a lot of risks when used outside of a doctor. Investigators came to the conclusion that Gerhardt had not just put the drug away. He had planned to bring it with him. There was a good chance that he planned to use it during the attack. This backed up the idea that he had access to tools that could briefly disable his target. There were no proper logs for any of the things in the bag. The center where Gerhardt worked didn't have any records of those medicines being taken without permission. This was more than just breaking hospital rules. It was a very bad use of medical power. All of this made the prosecution's case stronger. Gerhardt had the drive and the tools to do something illegal that he had planned. Ariel Koenig wrote a statement that was used as the ground for a petition for a protective order after she was taken to the hospital and the initial investigation was over. In it, she talked about important events from the past few months, including how her husband controlled her in a planned way by insulting her, making threats, and using physical and mental force against her. She said over and over that she had been scared all the time before the event. She also said that she hadn't called the police before because she was afraid that it would make his behavior worse and that no one would believe her. She didn't feel ready to speak out until after the attempt on her life. The court looked over her plea and fully granted it. For 180 days, a temporary blocking order was made. The order said Gerhardt Koenig couldn't get in touch with Ariel directly, by phone, through a third party, or online. He also couldn't get close to her, their boys, her mother, stepfather, or even the family dog. The court said that this broad restriction was necessary because there was a high chance of repeat violence. The fact that the suspect had already tried to kill her made it seem likely that something else would happen. During the study that was still going on, more worries came up. A search showed that Gerhardt legally owned several guns and had non-lethal self-defense tools on hand as well. Even though Gerhardt had never been in trouble with the law or been to mental health services before, the fact that he told his son he was going to hurt himself on the phone was seen as a sign that he was mentally unstable. All the facts were looked at by the court. It was thought that there was a real threat to other people, and the survivor's safety came first. At the same time, legal proceedings began to look into Gerhardt's work situation. After official charges were brought against him, the head of the medical facility where he worked fired him from all of his jobs. His medical license was put on hold, and he was no longer able to use clinical tools. Within days, the state medical board started the official process to take away his license to work. The ground was clear. There is an ongoing criminal probe into the misuse of medical information and substances to cause harm. There were also limits on money that had to be followed. The court told Gerhardt that he could no longer access any of the joint bank accounts or property, such as the house, cars, or stock portfolios. This was done to protect the family's finances and stop them from being able to pay for a possible escape. The case quickly got news from people outside of the area. News sites across the country and in the region picked up the story. The charges against him were very different from how he was seen as a respectable doctor, family man, and academic. People who had worked with Gerhardt before were shocked. It always seemed like he was calm, logical, and professional. People he worked with, patients and neighbors, all said he had never made them suspicious. That big difference between how he behaved in public and how he behaved in private made the biggest impression. People were shocked by how long it had been before signs of violent behavior were picked up. Just 2 weeks after Gerhard Koenig was arrested, the case started to be actively prepared for trial. The prosecutors finished their case and gave the Hawaii State Attorney's Office the necessary paperwork. As evidence was being put together, the recovered medical bag, the injector's contents, and recordings of interviews with witnesses were all being looked over. The prosecutor said at the preliminary hearing that there was more than one way that Ariel's life had been threatened. The government says Koenig did 3 things in a row to carry out the plan. He pulled Ariel close to the edge of the cliff and tried to give her a drug. When that didn't work, he hit her with a rock. The prosecutor made it clear that each of these acts could have killed the person. When looked at together, they made it clear what Gerhard wanted to do. The case was mostly about how intentional the acts were, how they happened, and how much the suspect knew about medicine. On the other hand, the defense said there was no planning ahead. It was said by Koenig's lawyer that the event happened because of extreme emotional stress and not as part of a planned action. It was emphasized by the defense that the injuries did not hurt critical organs permanently or cause a concussion. They thought that the fact that no one was killed and the injuries weren't too bad could mean that he hadn't really meant to finish the act. The defense also put in a move to change his custody status. They asked to be freed temporarily on a $100,000 bail. They pointed to Gerhardt's lack of a criminal record, his job, his family ties, and the fact that he hadn't tried to get in touch with the victim after being arrested. They also said that he probably couldn't get away because his papers had been taken away and his bank accounts had been frozen. It was also mentioned that he wasn't from South Africa anymore and didn't have a valid passport, so he wasn't a risk for an international flight. In the end, the court didn't agree with the defense's claims. When looking at the conditions of detention, the judge talked about how serious the charges were, which were backed up by direct proof and testimony from witnesses. It was said that Gerhardt had tried to get away from police before and had been missing for almost 8 hours. He had also admitted to the attack during a video call with his son. The judge made it clear that the accused had already shown that they could do unexpected and harmful things, like making life-threatening threats against the survivor. The request for bail was turned down. Gerhardt stayed in jail until his trial. Ariel Koenig focused on getting better physically and getting ready to give her public testimony while the court case went on. It was thought that her involvement was necessary. A sedative was meant to be injected into her. She was hit in the head, and important facts about what happened before the attack had to be confirmed. A group of lawyers and counselors who understand stress helped her through the whole process. Not only did getting ready for court mean organizing papers, it also meant going over the whole chain of events in your mind. Her clear goal was to get justice and make sure that the man who tried to kill her would never again see her or the boys. The woman also asked for a divorce. Because of what was going on, the process went quickly. For the termination of Gerhardt's parental rights, a separate legal motion was made. During the whole thing, Ariel didn't say a word to the reporters. The press was asked by her lawyer to give her peace. She wasn't interested in making public comments or getting attention. She cared about safety. She made sure the boys were stable. Her main goal. Structure was needed in her new life. She set up habits, took care of the house, went to therapy, and slowly started working from home again. Gerhard Koenig is still being tried in court. Even though there is a lot of proof and a lot of public interest, a verdict has not yet been made. Koenig pleaded not guilty after being arrested and officially charged with attempted second-degree murder. This made a full trial possible. The big events started for real in June. The first court date was set for June 9th, but the case is still open because of the large amount of proof and the time both sides needed to prepare. There are still witness statements, legal motions, and juror deliberations going on. The court or the prosecution have not yet set a firm date for the decision. As of late June 2025, the legal part of the story is still unwritten. The final decision hasn't come yet, and Ariel may make a public comment soon. There is a lot of tension in the air as people wait for the end of a story that started as a romantic getaway and finished in tragedy. This case shows how dark and unpredictable people can be. Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe for more true crime content. Until next time, stay safe.